think I've been a member of PEX for about 4 years now. And I've always been looking for a community that I could share ideas and exchange what the solutions might be for the challenges that we face in our different companies. And I did some research online, and there's a lot of different companies or organizations to choose from. But for some reason, PEX and the mission, I like the global aspect of it. I like the idea that not only is it United States based, that it's really more global. There was a lot of pull for me to join PEX. So we've been actively been part of PEX, my previous three companies. So over the past 4 years, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I've been with three different companies. And every time we've been active PEX members. We've been attending the global meeting in Orlando every year, joining the different competitions that you have. We've been a finalist twice for the past 2 years. So maybe this year we'll win, we'll see. But we were just very happy to be part of the PEX community. That question gets asked a lot, and there's a lot of questions around what's the difference between Lean and Six Sigma, process excellence, operational excellence. And I think that question is not as important as what do you do with it, right? So when I look at process excellence and operational excellence, they're both approaches for productivity, and they're both more of a culture change rather than a tool set. And I think they're both very powerful in terms of moving the business and moving the strategy. And I don't really look at it as there's a big difference between those two, aside from maybe a marketing spiel to it. The names might be different, but I think the goals of both process excellence and operational excellence are the same. So I've been on process excellence for more than 15 years now. I used to work for GE, so I was black belt certified there. And I could really see the progression from once I first started was really more focused on productivity, cost savings, cost savings, cost savings. Then after that, it moved towards more empowerment and employee engagement. It became a collaboration tool. Let's do Kaizen, let's do Lean Six Sigma, because people get to talk, they feel better about their job. And that was a good phase in terms of the operational excellence landscape. Recently, I've really seen more of a progression towards more of innovation and data analytics. And I think that's going to be key. That's going to be key. Now that most of our technology is so advanced and there's so much data to be utilized, I think the key now for operational excellence subject matter experts and leaders is really being able to combine everything throughout those 15 years that I talked about, right? Being able to look at not only productivity but innovation, not only looking at employee engagement but collaboration. You cannot be a one-trick pony when we talk about operational excellence. You got to be a jack of all trades. So I think the key now, what I see in the horizon is, especially with my team, I got operational excellence, process excellence people on my team. I look to them to be more broad in terms of their skill set. Not only project management, but change management. Not only Lean, but Six Sigma. You have to be good at all of this. And that's really where I think the area is going towards. The main challenges for our company, and I think just not for my company, for the financial services industry, any company out there is, for me, is two S's, right? The first one is sustainability, the other one is scalability. And that's always going to be a challenge for process excellence people. And what I mean by scalability is when you start with the operational excellence program, one of the challenges is you can always start small and have quick wins and gain some momentum, but how do you sustain it year over year, and how do you scale it across a bigger company? The challenge, again, going back to the two S's, sustainability and scalability, is how do you scale operational excellence across a big company and make sure that you sustain it? And there's a lot of tools about that we can look at. There's things around making sure that you have proper desktop procedures, you have proper process mapping, there's the Kaizen approach, there are many things that you can incorporate, but the big question again is, when you're starting a program, you're starting operational excellence, how do I sustain it and how do I scale it? Those are going to be the challenges. So in financial services, one of the questions around what's good operational excellence is if you can avoid the question of, is this really just for manufacturing? That's what comes up every time, I do a training and they say, oh yeah, I heard about that worked for Toyota, that worked for GE, which I think is just an industrial company, but GE Capital was a big financial services company as well. And I think the hallmark of a good operational excellence program is being able to simplify it and making it resonate across the organization. What I mean by that is we need to be simple in terms of the words that we use. Avoid jargon. You know, the best way to scare people in terms of operational excellence is start talking, all right, I'm gonna pokey this, I'm gonna use Kanban, and then we're gonna do Gemba walks. You lost them from day one. And so what we try to do is to just make sure that if you wanna have a good operational excellence program, make sure it resonates by keeping it simple, keeping the concepts very basic. And the other thing is you have to have measurements. At the end of the day, it's all about business impact. And for every program that I started at every company that I work with, it's always started with measurements. What's the baseline and what's the progress? And it's not an easy thing to do. People think, well, measurements, that's easy to collect. But that's one of the disciplines that I think is kind of understated. At the end of the day, for operational excellence or process excellence person, you need to be able to go to your stakeholders and say, this is my baseline, this is where I started, whether it's a defect rate of 50%, cycle time of 4 days, and this is where I am right now, defect rate of 5% and cycle time of 2 days. That's what makes sense. The most basic concept around process excellence is you need buy-in from the top. That has to be a given. And I've worked at other companies, I've met other people in other companies, and when we talk about what's successful and what's not, if you have support from the top, and I mean the very top, the CEO, that has to be a given. That's non-negotiable. And sometimes it's easy to get that, sometimes it's not, but you have to work for it. In terms of process excellence, it's a culture change. It's not just a tool set. And in order to drive that culture change, you have to have the buy-in from the top. So you have to work for that. The other thing that I look at, again, I've been doing this for a long time, and I learned it the hard way. When you try to add to your team and build your team in terms of process excellence, most of the time you try to look for skill set. You look, oh, is this person Black Belt certified? Has he done Lean Six Sigma facilitation and all that? That's important. But what I really learned that's very important is the personality. Again, it all comes back to culture change. You have to look for people that are, I would call likable, the X factor of, is this somebody that somebody would want to talk about their problems? Is this somebody that somebody would trust? Is this somebody that could really drive change and not be afraid of standing up for their principles? So at the end of the day, when you look at process excellence and driving it forward, you have to look for personalities. Since I've been a member for a couple of years now, it's kind of changed throughout the years. When I first started, it was more around learning. There was a lot of best practices that I picked up, and as I started to attend more and more events, it transitioned to more networking. Because I've been here for 15 years, there's still a lot to be learned, but now it's more around how do I get to know other people with other companies, and how do I network and get best practices that way. Now, the most important thing for me around the PEX events is the ability to pause and strategize. When you're in this event, and I try my best not to look at my cell phone, you're really able to reflect on your company's challenges, the year ahead, and then take in what do I need to do around the process excellence effort that we're leading in our company, and really try to strategize. You don't have that at work. When you're at work, you're busy firefighting, calls and meetings, but when you're here, you're really focused about strategy, you're focused about learning, and you're really looking forward, and I think that's very valuable.